In a January 2nd, 2020 post on Reddit, why did you enlist in the Marines? And Platner posted, I just wanted to have an adventure and kill some people. Graham Platner dropped out. And he was accused of rape from a credible source. And I just want to say, you remember when I said months ago? I don't even know if it was months ago. It was like maybe like a month ago, maybe a little bit more than a month ago, where I was like, I can't. I don't even want to discuss Graham Platner because just like this, I know there's some fuck shit. I'm not touching this. I'm not going to watch any people talk about it. I'm not going to watch people try and convince me against him or for him. I've seen enough. All right? I've seen enough. And I'm glad that I don't live in fucking Maine. All right? Because if I lived in Maine, I don't know that I would be able to vote for him. I think anyone who thought that Graham Platner didn't pass the smell test could obviously tell. I'm sorry, man. You don't describe like your time being deployed as like the best time of your life. If you're not a crazy person. I don't know, man. I don't know, man. And I know a lot of people were like, I'm sorry. Personally, if that wasn't enough, he called combat a game. If that wasn't enough, dude, you don't accidentally get a giant Nazi tattoo on your chest. I would understand if it was like something small on his arm in like a sleeve of tattoos where you're just like, I don't know, dude, you went to some random tattoo parlor, and you're like, give me whatever. And then you don't really give a shit. Because I know people like that. When they get tattoos, they go into a parlor that they like, and they're like, you know what? Just fuck me up, man. Give me whatever you want. And sometimes they're like, I didn't really like that one, but that's okay. You don't accidentally get like a giant Nazi tattoo right here. You know, like right, just like on your tit, man. Uh, I'm sorry, man. I can't. Maybe if the guy was like dumb as rocks, I could understand. But man, I not gonna lie, for all their progressive politics, Maine, Vermont, New England in general have a massive racism and xenophobia problem. Wait until you see the rest of the United States. Ah. I thought it could be possible until I saw the tattoo. No one is getting that thing accidentally. Like, what the fuck? I was imagining a generic skull. Like, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't know for a pretty long time that the black sun was a Nazi tattoo. Like, I think if he had like a small black sun on his arm in like a collection, like on a sleeve, I think if you don't know shit about that, you're like, oh, okay, well, I don't know what is that? Looks cool, I guess. I can understand that. I really can. I'm trying, but like a giant one right here. A giant. Okay. The third most notable Nazi insignia right here. Do you guys understand? I guess I could be tricked into thinking it was a Warhammer thing, like the Black Sun. Yeah, because I think like the Black Sun is just like some random ass pattern. It's like it's obviously not, to be clear. Actually, it's very funny because when I described it, someone just linked the thing. Let me pull it up. Hold up. Let me pull this up right here. Black Sun used by esoteric Nazi circles and other neo-Nazi groups. Like, I think if I saw this one, I'd be like, and I didn't know shit about it. Because most Americans, I feel like your education on like most things is so shit. I could understand how someone could get that and not know. And then once they realize, then they replace it, right? But like, uh-huh. Yeah, this is where I'm at. I have a nerd friend who got a couple rune tattoos that he later found out were things Nazis used. The tat Platner had is not like that at all. It's the symbol that the actual Waffen SS had on their caps. Let me see if I can pull up the what it looks like for people who haven't seen it on Platner. So yeah, I remember thinking like, oh, well, like how big is the tattoo? Where is it? How many tattoos does he have? What Nazi insignia is it? I was like, let let me see it and then we'll go from there. And then I saw it and I was like, guys, like this is a very active decision. All right. This is a very active decision. And it's not even good either. It looks like shit, man. Okay, not to hop on Zoomer tattoo hate. I actually don't have any hate for any tattoos other than like hateful tattoos, like actual hate symbols as tattoos. Personally, I think you should get whatever tattoos you like, even if other people think they look like shit. Get whatever stupid tattoos you want to get. Like Zoomers hate tattoos? No, no, no. Not to hop on the Zoomer style of tattoo hate. I feel like Zoomers tend to get very millennial, or sorry, not millennial, minimalist style tattoos. Whereas like millennials got like very maximalist tattoos. Not obviously just as a generalization, okay? Um but I feel like I'm putting Curtis Connor on blast. Um if if this is what Platner looked like and one of these was like one of the random runes, I'd be like, "Okay, I guess you can get something like that by mistake." Is that iDubbbz? Listen, not all white men with mullets are the same, okay? All right, guys, don't be so fucking racist against white people, against white boys, all right? Like, I was trying to understand, like, how people could look at a Nazi tattoo on someone and not care about it. And I was like, okay, what world would I maybe lend some grace to someone? I'd be like, yeah, maybe if he was like sleeved up like this and he had like 50 different small tattoos that were all just a bunch of random stupid shit. Like this is what this guy has tattooed on him. And I'm just picking Curtis Connor because it's the only person I can think of off the top of my head that has a bunch of, and I don't want to put a non-content creator on blast. I think it's more fun to put a content creator on blast. But like he's got a bunch of random ass shit on it. Like he's got a random cat, some arms or whatever the hell these things are. Like just some random ass shit on his arm. So I'd be like, all right, maybe? Like maybe? He's got 4 arms on his forearm. Do you see what I mean? I would absolutely expect Curtis Connor to get some fucking stupid ass rune on his arm and then find out that it's also used as like a Nazi dog whistle and be like, "Oh, well, time to never go to that tattoo parlor again. Now I have to get this shit fucking covered up. All right. Thanks a lot, I guess." I'd be like, "All right. You got to pass, but I'm watching you." But I'm watching you. And then I saw the actual tattoo that Platner had, and it's just one giant tattoo right on his tit. And I'm like, Wormy, you seeing this shit? Wormy, you seeing this shit? What is this photo? Why does this photo look like it was taken in like the fucking 90s, man? This is like a motivate. It looks like he looks like the picture boy for like a motivational article about like um how Reagan failed like the gay community. Do you see what I mean? Like, do you understand what I mean? Like, am I wrong though? Like, am I wrong? Am I wrong? So yeah, I mean, we'll talk about it a little bit more. I'm just going over the title for today, for today's Femboy Hooters. Shut the fuck up. No, this is not Femboy Hooters. This is Twink Hooters. All right. Moving on from that for a moment. The death heads also technically predate the Nazis, but it's deeply related to German militarism. Runes were originally just how Vikings wrote shit down. Yeah, I mean, it's the same way that like you can say like, oh well, like the swastika wasn't always like a hateful symbol, um, and it was actually I forget what was it, like a spiritual symbol in India or something. I don't remember what it was. I think it in Buddhism. It might have been I don't remember. I'm not sure. Um, but like everyone knows what that symbol means today if you were born and raised as an American. You know what I mean? If you were born and raised as an American, it's like to me, we are just getting into very Hasan at a Nazi argument. Wrong. Absolutely incorrect. Totally different. Do you know what a commitment is? Do you know how much of a commitment a tattoo is, man? You know what how much of a commitment getting a tattoo on your chest is? A giant tattoo? Mm-mm. Also, I will just say, as a general statement, he also has like no other visible tattoos. He only has like 2 other tattoos, I think. Woman who dated Graham Platner says he sexually assaulted her. The Maine Democrat denied the allegations and said any accusation of non-consensual behavior is categorically untrue. The woman who dated a Maine U.S. Senate candidate, Graham Platner, says that he forced her to have sex with him nearly 5 years ago, despite her repeated objections and allegation. Platner denies. The woman, a 41-year-old Maine resident named Jenny, I think it's Raskop, but I might be mistaken, detailed the alleged incident to Politico in 3 interviews over the past 2 weeks. Politico also spoke with a man Raskot dated and confided in the years after the alleged incident, and reviewed documents, including emails between them and her therapist and messages between Raskot and an acquaintance whom she warned against getting involved with Platner years before. Oh, is Rasko? Okay, I apologize. Years before he ran for office. She said that she had an on and off relationship with Platner, who is now the Democratic Senate nominee in Maine, for more than 2 years before he entered her rural Maine home uninvited one night in late 2021, deeply intoxicated, and forced himself onto her while she repeatedly told him to stop. She said she cut off contact with him after telling him the encounter was not consensual. I remember him grabbing my pelvis and being very forceful of me. I remember the specific moment where I thought to myself, this is no longer my choice. Platner denied the allegations. These allegations are troubling, serious, and false. Any accusation of non-consensual behavior is categorically untrue. She previously described reckless and unsettling behavior by Platner to the New York Times, which said she didn't want to go public with the specific assault claim because she didn't want to be known as a rape victim. Wow, shocking. It's almost like it's the same thing that people have said for years, which is most victims do not want to come forward because then when you come forward, you are only known as the rape victim or the sexual assault victim forever. Then, where were we? Sorry, I know this is not important, but like my eyes are hurting from the fucking bright text. I'm just going to try and put this on dark reader really quickly. I'm like actually like wincing. Let me just add this really quick. Much better. Sorry. All right. Roscoe said she felt compelled to go public about her experience because the reaction to the Times story was dominated by controversy and about another woman, Fifield, who alleged Platner mistreated her and faced attacks because of her ties to the Republican Party. And I gotta say, man, we're gonna get to all of it really fast. Or sorry, really fast. We're gonna get to all of it soon. But something I did not like about general coverage of Platner was that when the first set of allegations about him came out, about Platner came out, the number of leftists that came out and said this is just a smear campaign and we shouldn't give it the time of day was insane. Like, I felt like I was, you know, the one friend that's too woke. That's how I felt. I let me pull it up. Here it is. This is from the article that I was posting. The woker, if you will. I mean, we'll get to this in a moment, but this part. In the article, Fifield alleged that Platner frequently grabbed her by the shoulders and once yanked her out of a taxi by her wrist. The article continued. During one argument, she recalled, he twisted her arm behind her back, shoved her into a bedroom, held the door closed from the other side so she couldn't get out, telling her to remain there until she was calm. And I'm going to be honest. I saw so many people say this and were like, okay, so like he told her to be calm. Like, that's really not that big of a deal. And I'm like, you're going to ignore all of the context. You're going to just ignore the only thing in here that I think like maybe I can understand different contexts would play out differently, where he yanked her out of the taxi by her wrist. I can understand that one, maybe. I can understand situations where maybe that one ended up being, because like, I don't know about you guys, anyone here who's had physical contact with other human beings ever, maybe my wrists are just particularly dainty, although I don't think so. Sometimes you can grab other people's wrists and they can grab your wrists. And it's still like, owie, wait. Wait, can you be a little bit softer? That kind of hurt. Ow. Your wrists are just kind of like, if you're not fucking jacked, your wrist can just kind of hurt more than normal for like whatever. So like, I'm like, okay, I understand. Like that one is fine. That one's like, I don't care about that one. The other two are like insane. Frequently grabbed her by the shoulders. I think it's that like a lot of people haven't read into or know a lot about like physical abuse or domestic abuse. And people who've dealt with domestic abuse will tell you that holding is and like forcefully grabbing someone is the step before physically hurting someone. Whether that's strangling someone or punching them or slapping them. Restraining is right before that. And a friend of mine who went through domestic abuse talked to me about her experience. But you can also look into this besides one anecdote I'm going to share. And she was talking about how, like, it's very easy in the moment to think, like, oh, this is fine. Like, they're not, like, hurting me or they're not trying to hurt me or whatever. But that can escalate so quickly. And if you look at the instances where people have strangled their partners or people have strangled people that they've been with romantically or sexually, It's been months of lead up with physically restraining. And the fact that so many people wrote off, like, because this is a violation of one person's consent, right? To physically restrain someone else. Like, you're violating their consent and telling them, I don't care what you want. I'm going to get what I want by physically dominating you. And it's like, really, that person wouldn't, you guys don't think that there's anything suspicious about that person? There's nothing suspicious about that character? All right. Okay, man. All right. Okay. And then I wanted to continue this stuff. One time I called the hotline because I was trying to explain away an instance of abuse like that, and she changed my life when the woman on the other end told me one time is still one time too many. Yeah. Platner also said that he would rape anyone who would break into his home. It's like, all right. Yeah, the full story is like insane. Anyways, moving on from that point. The reason why everyone wrote that off was because they were like, well, how do we know that Fifield isn't lying and making all this stuff up? How do we know that? And it's like, if she was going to lie, why wouldn't she just lie about him assaulting her? Like, I don't understand. Why would she lie about what? Fifield further recalled Platner would sharpen an axe while watching TV and left an AR-15 lying around in his Washington apartment. She said he described women as hatchet wounds, a crude reference to female anatomy, and repeatedly asserted if anyone broke in here, I would rape them, adding that this would not be in a sexual way, not in a gay way. Fifield told the paper he was like, I would rape them to show them I'm dominant. What? The military guy who described his time at war as the most fun ever and that he loved combat and it was the best time of his life. That guy? That guy would say these things? No. No, dude. No. Exactly. The claims were way more mild than they could have been. She would have gone harder if she was just going to make stuff up anyways. It's just like, but like no one was willing to listen to any of these arguments because he was like people's golden boy for a period of time. So anytime you try and talk about this, it's like, oh, so you're just going to trust anyone? It's like, I'm just saying, if you just are at the point of, well, she's clearly making all this stuff up, why wouldn't she make up something more insane than that? Huh? Okay. All right. I guess. Yeah, sure. People would call you a lib if you brought up any criticism. Jesus. All right. Continuing here. Rasco said she later felt compelled to go public about her experience because the reaction to the Times story was dominated by controversy about another woman. Fifield, who alleged Platner mistreated her and faced attacks because of her ties to the Republican Party. My part of the story was just a read over, and the story was Lindsay and the accusations of her being politically motivated. Roscoe said she was torn over coming forward in part because she agrees with Platner politically. One of the reasons they didn't come forward sooner was the huge moral conflict that I had between supporting his politics but not supporting him as a person. I just want the truth out there. I just want people to have a whole scope of who he is as a person. All right. And then I'll show you guys. The Iraq and Afghanistan war veteran has linked some of his behavior to mental health struggles and alcohol abuse. But he says he's changed and has denied previous claims that he was abusive to women. Roscoe told Politico that she connected with Platner on the dating app Bumble in 2019 and had consensual relations with him prior to the night he allegedly assaulted her. That night in late 2021, she said that he had exchanged text messages with him and told him not to come over, saying she wasn't in the mood for company. Later that evening, she said she realized when she heard a sound on the stairs that he had let himself into her house, which was unlocked. Platner came up the stairs to where she was on a couch. He got on top of her and started grabbing her while she repeatedly told him to stop and she wasn't interested. She said that she smelled alcohol in his breath and believed that he was almost blackout drunk because Platner ignored her protest and continued to grab her after knocking over an antique sewing kit, spilling small needles everywhere. I'd been telling him these words like, no, don't, she recalled. And the look on his face and realizing what was happening, I just realized that, like, I'm in a situation where there's no consent here. She tried to separate herself from Platner by telling him she couldn't be in the room anymore, after which he followed her to the bedroom and had sex with her against her will. Okay, just write it how it is and say, thank you for not watching the Jake Tapper video. I can't, dude. She said he also ejaculated inside of her despite her telling him not to do so. She wasn't using birth control at the time. She went to clean up and she said when she returned, he had fallen asleep. She contemplated waking him up to kick him out, was worried he could hurt someone driving in the state that he was in. Following morning, she said he tried to put his arm around her and she pushed him away. She said she asked him whether he remembered what happened. And according to her, Platner said that he didn't remember. She told him to leave and never contact her again. She said she waited several weeks until she got her period to ensure she wasn't pregnant, sent Platner a private message on Instagram saying that the encounter was not consensual and that she did not want to hear from him ever again. She had no further contact with him after that, she said, and Raska said she later deleted all her text and social media correspondence with Platner as she tried to move on from the assault, and said she has not been able to recover the Instagram messages she sent him about the incident. In the weeks after the alleged assault, she said that she considered going to the police but struggled with the shock and confusion about what had happened to her and didn't file a police report. Even as time passed, she said she felt uncomfortable potentially telling a police officer about such a personal experience and feared retaliation from Platner. At first, she confided only in her therapist, who she continues to see. I'm 99% sure, by the way, that the Reddit comment was about this specific assault. Yeah. By the way, the other thing that was fucking insane was that Platner had like a Reddit account where he had like talked candidly about all of the things that all of his opinions, and then he deleted his account, but a lot of the comments are still up there. And the shit that he said was insane. Like, he said that sexual assault victims are just like regret victims, and corroborated like half this shit. She showed Politico recent emails with her therapist in which Rasko explained she was talking about the media about her relationship with Platner and the sexual assault/rape using an abbreviation for sex. Okay. In the message, she was not ready to go public and was seeking help corroborating her account and conversations she was having with reporters on condition of anonymity. Her therapist responded that Rasko shouldn't have to speak publicly about a traumatic incident in order to be believed without referencing details of any particular incident. The therapist, who Politico agreed not to name in her request, declined to comment when reached on Monday. She also shared details about the alleged assault to the man she dated after Platner, who she began seeing in 2022. The man who was granted anonymity out of concern for his privacy told Politico that Rasko had told him bits and pieces about a bad experience with Platner before confiding the full details of what happened in 2023. His account of what Rasko told him about the incident matched with what she said to Politico. She shared with Politico a series of private Facebook messages she exchanged with an acquaintance in 2023, about a year and a half after the assault, and well before Platner launched his political career, in which she cautioned the acquaintance against getting involved with Platner. In the messages, she said she had ended up in a bad situation with him, describing him as consensually careless and saying he doesn't listen to you when drunk. Reached by Politico, the acquaintance said she received the message but declined to comment. And it's these text messages saying it's her telling this other person that's thinking about being with Platner long before his political campaign. I saw your post about oysters the other day. I feel morally obligated to warn you if you were anything more than just friends with Graham, but if you're not, then I'll shut up for now and give you the scoop sometime. LOL. Just friends, would love the scoop though. Is he still engaged? I was working on fixing up a friend. Oh, I have an idea with who. Oh, girl, I think her name is, and this is, I guess, some of the screenshots. I assume maybe they post some more of them later. The friend to whom Politico granted anonymity due to fear of social and professional backlash recalled Rasko telling her about the incident, including that Platner had been very drunk and wouldn't take no for an answer. Oh, there's a button to the right of the screenshot. Oh, okay, sorry. I'm like a fucking boomer. There are more screenshots here. Okay, and then they're just talking about the timeline. Okay, and then here it is. What's his deal? Should I not fix up my friend assuming he's single? And she says, he can be charming and funny and he's a decently intelligent person. He's not all bad, but I ended up in a bad situation with him and I will very politely call him consensually careless at times. When drunk plus PTSD. I knew about the PTSD. He lies also. And then the other person says, forces himself on people? Question mark. And she said, one thing that grossed me out after him and I had dated was that I saw his profile on OkCupid, and that site asks a lot of questions. And one of the questions was, if your partner told you they had over 100 sexual partners, what would your response be? And his response was, that's not that many. So that super grossed me out, thinking he's probably slept with a ton of people, doesn't listen to you when drunk, ... This person reacted with a downvote. All right. You basically have to admit being a victim for people to give a fuck. Nobody wants to be seen or think of themselves as a victim. It's a horrible situation. Well, the problem is that even if you give up anonymity and you become known as a rape victim, people still won't believe you, but you still have to carry this burden everywhere you go. The friend to whom Politico granted anonymity due to fear of social and professional backlash. Okay, and then, yeah, they corroborated this. Like, this is pretty... Like, what is the justification for these messages? Well, she must have known secretly that he was going to be running for Senate in 2026. And so she started planting the seeds that he was a rapist to other people. Like, what? And like, huh? All right. I am scared too, but eventually we're going to look at some of the coverage of some other people. Mental gymnastics people to do to pretend like all of this is orchestrated. It's like, guys, I'm sorry. Like, let me pull up the articles talking about his Reddit post. This is not the play, man. Devil's advocate would say that she was just jealous and trying to sabotage future relationships. If she was trying to do that, she wouldn't set herself up as like a rape victim. The way that people sabotage relationships is by saying that the other person's a cheater. That's like, that would be like, I'm sorry, like that's an insane direction to take it. All right. Oh, here it is. I think it's this one. Is it this one? On December 27th, 2015, Platner posted on Reddit, 4 tours as an infantryman in the Marines and then Army, did both Iraq and Afghanistan. It's hard to explain how much I enjoyed combat. It is both physically and intellectually challenging and incredibly exciting, especially the first few times. I was never a huge fan of killing, at least not for killing's sake, but I did love winning and that required killing. Combat was a really fulfilling experience. It's hard to explain how much I loved combat. Enjoyed combat. War was the most enjoyable experience of my life. In a January 2nd, 2020 post on Reddit, I guess it was a thread titled, "Why did you enlist in the Marines?" And Platner posted, "I just wanted to have an adventure and kill some people." I can't believe that guy would violate someone's consent. By the way, how's this the first time I heard all this? Well, because, and this is, I want to read my post that I wrote because I spent a lot of time writing it to try and explain all of my positions to the best of my ability. Anytime anyone would try and talk about any of these issues and be like, hey guys, this doesn't really seem like someone who values like people's lives. I don't know. He doesn't seem to give a single shit about all of the brown and black people that, well, I guess mostly brown people in any of these Middle Eastern countries. He didn't seem to give a shit or value any of their lives. I don't know, man. This guy doesn't seem like, and then we have this one reporting of this guy basically violating this woman's consent by physically grabbing her, restraining her, putting her arm behind her back. I don't know, man. And talking to her and telling her how he would rape someone in dominance. I don't know, man. Maybe this is someone we should be a little bit more skeptical about. And then he has a fucking giant Nazi tattoo. And it's like, I don't know, man. Maybe we should be just like a little bit more skeptical of this. Just like a little. And everyone just ignored it because they were like, well, these must all just be smears. And I will say there were a couple of voices that actually did critically comment on these things and say that doesn't change his policies or doesn't change his political values or whatever. And those people, I don't have any like disdain for those people. I mean, they're just trying to like push for leftism in, I think, a misguided way. But the people who immediately wrote it all off as a smear campaign, I fucking can't, dude. I can't, man. I wrote this. I tried to put all my words or my thoughts into words. I plan to talk about it more on stream, but I really am grateful we have so many voices in leftist spaces that rang the alarm bells on the candidate with the Nazi tattoo that thought war was the most enjoyable experience of my life, quote, and told women that he would rape an intruder to establish dominance. Don't get me wrong. I understand why so many leftists insisted that his current political messaging and anti-genocide / anti-APAC stance should be more valuable than a few statements that were made in the past. I don't take issue with those who genuinely listen to the criticism on the left and believe that his previous comments were some edgy attempt at comedy, but that he was a changed person today. I do not and cannot understand, though, why so many self-proclaimed leftists took any negative reporting about Platner and immediately insisted that it had to be a smear campaign. It was so depressing to see so many people I respect engage in this behavior. I don't want anyone to read this tweet and think that we need to lambast every leftist who made a mistake. I'd just rather be productive and have something good come from all of this. I hope the people who were quick to write off any anti-Platner coverage use this as an opportunity to be a bit more cautious in the future when thinking whether or not to endorse someone that people of color and women of color are actively warning people about. Because, like, I'm going to be honest, I don't really get off on, like, and then we got to lambast this guy, and then we got to lambast this guy, and also this guy, and also this guy. I just don't care. Like, I think what I ended up doing was, like, I literally refused to watch Graham Platner coverage. Like, I was like, I can't. I'm not watching the majority report talk about Graham Platner. I'm not going to watch Kyle talk about Graham Platner. I didn't even want to watch Hasan talk about Graham Platner. I didn't want to watch anyone talk about Graham Platner. I was just like, I can't. Like, I'm sorry, man. Which I think what I said the one time I talked about it was, thank God I don't fucking live in Maine. Because I still think those are good leftist voices that use their platforms for good the vast majority of the time. But I'm like, still disappointed. I had no interest in hearing about Platner. Yeah. And by the way, being wrong wasn't the issue. It was ignoring and slandering naysayers. Well, yeah, because I think, like, let me say two things. One, I think that there were a lot of people who didn't know all of the details of this stuff, that didn't know all the details about what he was being accused of and what he had said about his service and what women had said about him. I think a lot of people didn't know that any of this stuff was even, like, it was very difficult to find any sources on this information, by the way. I looked pretty hard to get it, and then I confirmed it. And it was very difficult to find. There's one video of him apologizing about previous Reddit comments that he had made, which confirmed that there is a Reddit account that has been deleted. And he did say, he said that he apologized for certain statements. And it was like, one of the statements was like him not respecting like veterans or something because he was being edgy about it or some stupid shit. But then that was him basically confirming that was in fact his account, but that account had like 400 other heinous things on it. There's one of the statements that he had made on Reddit was like him saying that like sexual assault victims just decide after the fact that it was rape. And so like, it wasn't just the Nazi tattoo. It was all of this shit combined. It's like, dude, like this is a bomb waiting to go off, man. Like, all of these things point to one clear root cause, which is guy who believes in hierarchical structures but thinks that he should be at the top of the hierarchical structure. All of those things make sense within that. So I'm like, I don't know, man. Obsessed with power? Well, yeah, I think another thing too, just in case people don't know, sexual assault and like rape is not about sexual desire. It's about dominance and control and power. Which is why when he, like, it lines up perfect, what she said lines up perfectly with what perpetrators of that crime do, which is, I wouldn't rape him in like a sexual way or in a gay way. I would rape him for dominance, which is accurate. That is why sexual abusers do what they do. Because maybe they don't have dominance in other places of their life, so they take it out on people that are weaker than them. He even said it like, you really can't get any clearer than that. And then he repeats it again with all these other things where he's talking about like his time in combat, right? It wasn't just the Nazi tattoo, it was that the Nazi tattoo fit in with everything else. Exactly. What was I? I was going to say something else. Bingo on the hierarchical structures. I mean, and it was just like infuriating to see people just like, and I really don't fault people who didn't know about all this stuff. And I don't fault people who thought that his political messaging was too valuable. I take issue with the people that immediately saw anything negative about Platner and were like, we can just ignore that. That's all smear campaigns, everything. It's got to be smear campaigns. It's like, you're not even going to read it. You're not going to like take it with a grain of salt. You're really? Not sure why people keep trying to smear Hasan about Platner. Hasan was pretty open about stating that the reason he liked Platner was for his policy position, but his ability to message those positions to Trump supporters. He never stated that Platner's past was an issue. Well, yeah, and again, what I'm saying is, it made me mad to see people be like, yeah, everything in the past, he's changed. He's a changed person. It's like, dude, there are certain things that are hard to ignore. Fundamentally believing in hierarchical structures, you're not changing that overnight, man. Like, I don't know. And it's funny too, because even in his like final like messaging, his video talking about dropping out, he's still giving the middle finger to Democrats and to his voters. He's saying, well, I'm not, if you're not going to have me there, if I don't get to be at the top, well, I hope we don't fucking win. I hope we don't flip the House. Or sorry, the Senate. And it's like, oh, okay. So you're just admitting that that's who you are. Okay, great. Hasan was not working with his campaign. I don't think I saw Hasan working with his campaign. You guys can link me if I'm mistaken or something. The thing that I don't like about, let me see if I can pull it up before I comment. One sec. The most annoying thing so far is that has been coming out of like the Hasan did this, Hasan personally did this, is it's the same exact people that, sorry, this is Aura. I want to show you guys this. Who said that everything Hasan did was in fact not an endorsement of Kamala. It's like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to listen to you if you're a fucking bad faith actor on this, and you're just if your account is just dedicated to smearing Hasan, and he did more for Kamala than he ever did for Platner, but that wasn't endorsing Kamala, but this is endorsing Platner. You're a bad faith actor, and your opinion is worthless. Congrats. Oh man, I thought I saved the post, but maybe I didn't save it. I might not have saved it. Oh, wait, is it here? No, it's not this one. Maybe it's in the replies or something? Like I said, it's always the exact same voices right now that are going after Hasan on this. Like, girl with the microphone, notable for her. Does she not know that public opinion does not equal court of public opinion does not equal actual court? How many of y'all gave to Platner because Hasan told you to do so? I've never asked anyone to donate to Platner, nor have I campaigned with him. LMAO, what the fuck is this hallucination? And then this community note kept going up and down and up and down and up and down because it doesn't disprove what he said. Hasan here saying, I didn't ask people to donate and I didn't campaign with him. And the context is he publicly endorsed him as Team Platner and his go and defended him on stream. None of these things are saying amplified his campaign, launch video sources confirm he backed the campaign before reversing. None of these things say that he donated or campaigned with him. What? He didn't argue that he didn't say those things. What? Also, these are the exact same people, by the way, who are saying he never endorsed Kamala Harris. It's like, okay, so he did more for Kamala Harris, but he never endorsed Kamala Harris, and he's the reason we have Trump. Hasan personally caused Trump, but also he personally endorsed Platner. Oh, okay. All right. Interesting. I think some people are mixing up Hasan saying veterans can be redeemed when Platner comes up. He uses Platner as a jumping pad for the veteran convo. I don't even think he's talking about that. I think we're talking about a separate conversation. That's amazing. I mean, again, it's like bad faith actors, man. And yeah, this. Okay, so I wanted to show this. This has been, and again, it's like, I hope I'm explaining the position to the best of my ability. It's just like the people who wrote it off, I understand critical support. I understand that, saying, hey, this is not stuff that we should necessarily hand wave and we should keep a close eye on someone like this. And people ringing the alarm bells are not wrong to do that. I don't understand people being like, well, yeah, how do we know that this isn't just a massive smear job, huh? We'll talk about this next. Thank you for linking this. Mackie, yeah. Hasan endorsed Janet Mills more than Platner, yeah.